Along with his best friend, philosopher and antiquarian John Neal has successfully restored ancient metrology as a coherent system of measures based upon fractional variations of what came to be called the English foot. Born in Epping in 1941, Neal studied agriculture at university but grew fascinated with archaeology and the old systems of measurements. Neal met John Michel in 1967 as Michel was beginning to write his seminal work, The View over Atlantis. They collaborated together for many years, promoting the importance of metrology in order to better understand the ancients and their monuments. In 2000, Neal's magnificent opus, Opus 2, all done with mirrors, was published. It is easily one of the most important books to read and study if one wants to understand ancient sciences and civilizations. Neal has continued working since then and has published various books and essays that explore how monumental building continued to be based upon choice of a varied foot length rather than construction using a simple type of measure or an arbitrary standard length, such as the megalithic yard. In John's own words, the most important study of the ancient world is that of his metrology, for this is the medium through which its architects and artisans expressed much of their intention. All ancient civilizations have their unique and distinctive styles and personas. One has only to see objects of everyday use, examples of artistic expression, or buildings to enable us to identify them and the culture to which they belong. Literally, from all over the world, there is a distinctive similarity of technique that underlies all of these seemingly disparate cultures. This is because all that was created had to conform to a canon of order in order to be accepted. The canon could be likened to music, where a limited number of governing factors allow a limitless number of harmonious arrangements. These cultural similarities extend to their creation myths, functions of the gods, astronomy, counting methods, and cosmologies. Although any of these linkages may be open to criticism or made to seem arbitrary, the one unifying factor which cannot is their metrology. Measurement is at the root of all civilizations, and at the root of metrology is pure number.
John, before coming here today, I looked at a lot of your interviews on YouTube, and you said that numbers pre-exist everything.
Well, that's according to Pythagorean thought, yes. Yeah.
How did numbers and metrology and other disciplines evolve at the same time?
It was through Pythagorean thought, and Pythagorean thought has got its origins in Dionysian cults, Dionysian and Orphic traditions, Orpheus is the underworld, right? You know, and that goes back to the pre-Olympian gods, the times of the Titans. It's gone right back into legend, but the Pythagorean thought has its origins in those very remote times. So it's the remotest part of our history that's just simply oral. There's nothing written down, you know, from the times of Dionysus and Orpheus. So,
and your own research shows the antiquity of the thing is thousands of years before
yes,
the
indeed.
Greeks.
Yeah.
So we can't necessarily rely on the Greeks to give us the origins of numerology, metrology, and astronomy. We have to go back to previous cultures.
Yes, well, that's not very far, because even in Greece, the closing years of the Bronze Age, the collapse of the Bronze Age collapse.
1500 BCE, yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. More like it. Yeah.
That's the academic.
And even literacy disappeared in Greece. So there's a clear cut-off point there. When literacy disappeared, it was only oral tradition that kept it alive and refloated it. So there's a major cut-off point at the Bronze Age collapse of all sorts of cultures. So every so often a sort of white clean.
Okay, so we had to inherit it into Greek culture from a previous culture.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, John, I'd like to ask you a question, if I may. Your magnum opus on ancient metrology came out 25 years ago and is called Opus 2, All Done with Mirrors, an exploration of measure, proportion, ratio and number. Can you explain the All Done with Mirrors of your title and the cover illustration of a civilised, classical-looking chap bearing in front of his face the mask of a brutish hominid?
Yes, we're all done with mirrors.
Yeah.
Is a reference to a trick or subterfuge. Charlatan-like magical effects,
Yeah.
So all done with mirrors, means it's an illusion. Our view of history is an illusion.
Right.
It's been pulled over our eyes by rationalists who would like us to believe certain origins of culture. And,
Yeah.
And yes, of course, it's a truly civilized ancient race that we've given a brutish mask.
Right, I see. That makes complete sense. Yeah, brilliant. Very good. Okay. I get from the book's preface that there is no Opus 1, which just morphed into Opus 2.
Yes.
But what's with the Secret Academy who published Opus 2? Because I've noticed their website has become defunct.
Yes, it has, yes.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, yes, it was. I did try to resurrect it under different names with a foolish man I employed to look after my website and things. And he managed to lose it somehow.
Oh dear.
Yeah. He changed it from the guy who registered it, who was a friend of mine. Anyway.
Yeah.
I lost the name, or the business name. But yes, it's my only mention, the Secret Academy.
Yeah. Okay. Go on, Hugh.
So, John, we have Ancient Metrology Volume 1.
Yeah.
And we have Ancient Metrology Volume 2.
Yes.
How do we get hold of Ancient Metrology Volume 3?
You have to wait a bit. It'll come through the same sources, the same publishers.
We're waiting with bated breath for the master.
Yeah. Okay. The next question, John. In the book's acknowledgements, you pay tribute to John Michel as the greatest philosopher of our age, as well as William Flinders Petrie, Alexander Thom, Algernon Berryman, Livio Stacchini, Peter Tompkins, and Hugh Halston Jr. How would you sum up your own contribution to metrology?
Well, I've understood what they were all saying, and I've worked out the only possible explanation for all their various theories come together in one. I think rather glorious sort of unity, and I've found out what the unity is, what the threads that connect them all together.
Right.
And that's about it.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Okay. After Opus 2, you published your collected works as Ancient Metrology Volumes 1, 2 and 3. Some of the material has also appeared via the online publisher academia.edu. You claim in these works that it can be shown that the megalithic yard shared an origin with the Sumerian cubit, and the foot measure used in England, equivalent to a Greek foot, proves to have played a pivotal role in the whole metrological system. Can you please update us with your thinking on these interrelationships?
Well, so I've explained all that quite well in the various publications. But the English foot is the basis on number one that they all revolve around. If you look at the spread of feet, the spread of mathematical feet, you'll see that the English foot, or the Greek foot rather, is quite close to the middle. Yeah, the English Greek foot is here. There's one foot there, you know. So at 36 to 35, these are all unit fractions. You see, you got the common Egyptian there, and that's 48, which means the English foot will be 49 compared with 48 of that. And then you've got the Greek foot, and then the common Greek foot, and the whole lot is pivotal to these two: the common Greek foot and the Olympian Greek foot. It was called Olympian by Electron.
Right.
And to distinguish the two, the common Greek foot.
Yeah.
Common Greek foot was called common Greek by Petrie and various others. Common Greek and Olympic Greek. And the English foot, of course, is part of the Olympic. You see, they're very central to the whole.
Yes, the rest,
These 2 feet, it's variations of these 2 feet, the unit fractions, you know, and that's how you develop by unit fractions. It's 36, so it's 37 to 36, the English foot, and then you got the Persian, which is 21, so it's 20 to 21 of the English foot, you see, and then this is 16, so it's 16 to 15 of the English foot. This is 15, so the English foot is 14 to 15. So unit fractions, unit fractions are sometimes referred to as super particular, but it's a single fraction.
Right.
So the English foot, which is a Greek foot, is pivotal to the whole gamut of measures, you know.
Yeah.
And the English foot is Stachini claims, and he was very good, but he had a failing. Stachini claimed that the English foot was indeed used in Greece, but no one's ever been able to put them all together in a coherent, sensible thing. All the variations in the Greek foot, I've seen the pattern that runs behind them, and they're the same variations in all the other feet.
Yeah, I imagine that.
Yeah. So it's quite solid.
So it didn't originate in Greece then? If you see
God,
the same patterns elsewhere, it can't have originated in Greece.
No, it's called Greek because it was used by the main Greek authority, which was Athens.
Yeah.
And
it's just more prevalent there.
Well, yes, the Parthenon to Athens, but that was rebuilt after the Persians by Phidias and Callicrates. That was rebuilt after the Persians destroyed the original Acropolis. So there was a previous temple to Athena on the Acropolis, but it was the temple built by Callicrates that incorporated the Greek foot. It was called the hecatompedon, and hecatompedon means 100-footer, so the stylobate is 100 feet, and that's where the Greek foot 101.376. That's his most definitive example of that foot. You'll find it everywhere. And Stonehenge is built to the very same foot, 101.376, and you can also find it in Teotihuacan. And in fact, the measures used by the Aztecs and the previous tribes of the Aztecs, the measures also incorporated the use of the English foot. You've got exactly the same width of the temple of Quetzalcoatl. That's the smallest temple in Teotihuacan. They were the pre-Aztec culture. But,
I'll phone a friend. But you've travelled the world extensively. Did you find the foot on Hawaii?
No, I didn't. The only thing you can measure in Hawaii, and you have to be a qualified surveyor to do it really, is the what they call the heiaus, and they were scattered around everywhere. There were terminal centres, so there's nothing left on them. They're simply the platforms, but they're very rigidly built. No, I never looked for measurements. There's not anything you can really take a tape measure to in Hawaii.
On a practical level, the foot is 1/360,000th of a degree.
That's the geographic foot, yes.
How would it have been determined usefully on a day-to-day basis in antiquity? How did they consistently generate the foot in different parts of the world based on the rotation of the Earth?
Was it based on the rotation of the Earth?
1/360,000th of a degree of the circumference of the Earth. They had to consistently use the same measurement around the Earth to quite a large number of decimal places. How did they do that?
The same way we did. Exactly the same way we did. By triangulation.
By triangulation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. By careful surveys. I mean, they had lenses all over the ancient world. Wherever you dig up anywhere in the ancient world, they found these lenses. I mean, Robert Temple, he's a good old boy, Robert. But he found thousands of them.
Yeah, he did.
And they're all stored in the basements of museums. They're not on display, but they're not very interesting to look at, are they? They're rock crystal lenses and they're glass lenses, and they're all sorts of qualities. But some of them are very high quality. You can make any degree of magnification or what's the opposite of magnification, but telescopic, telescopic and to magnify or telescope. They had lenses that they could make any kind of telescopic instrument. So I'm not saying they did, but they could have done easily without any problem at all. And you put a telescopic instrument on top of a diopter, and they all had diopters. It's just 360 degrees. 360 degrees on a circle, and you got it goes into the horizontal and all sorts of angular motions. You put the telescope on a diopter, and it's a theodolite. So,
would there have been any correlation with the movement of the stars in the heavens?
Well, yes, of course. When they're computing time, but it's all shifting sands because time is only relative to us. It's all relative, isn't it? So it only makes sense on the Earth, doesn't it? 365 and a quarter.
Mars has a different understanding of time.
Oh, yeah. And it depends where you view it from as well. It's not constant at all. There are no constants. I think I've got that in here, haven't I? Just one. It might be.
Help.
Yeah, I think you'll find it's all in here, all that bit. You're looking for the base one. It's not as easy as it looks.
Okay, John. Is it still your belief, as articulated in Opus 2, that at the base of ancient metrology is fundamental physics?
Did I say that?
I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure you did, yeah.
Yes, well, define physics. There's two branches of physics. There's astronomy, we've just been talking about, and there's quantum,
Yeah. Well, I've got here as an example, John. Distance covered by light in 1 nanosecond is 1 foot to within 2% accuracy.
Yes, I know. Depending on the conditions you're measuring it under, the speed of light is not invariable. And it doesn't matter a damn if it is or it isn't, because it's not really a universal constant, is it? It's just peculiar to the Earth. The second, the spin of the Earth correlates with the speed. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay, thanks, cheers. Some metrologists are keener on the metric system than others. The keenest claim that the meter is detectable in ancient metrology, so is not merely a production of the French Revolution. What is your take on such a claim and on the metric system in general when compared with the inch, foot, yard and mile?
Oh, look at that thing we've just been looking at.
Yeah.
So you can't have any new measurements. They will come within those parameters.
Yeah.
What are proven measurements from the ancient world. So any measurement you come up with is bound to be in that group of measurements.
Yeah.
It's got to come. You can't. So, sure, there's a thing that looks like a meter, but in actual fact, it's nothing like a meter.
Right.
Nothing at all like a meter, because the meter doesn't have a provision for a subdivision by 3, so you can't compare it with any ancient feet, and yet it is a Baltic yard, because you've got to look at what it actually is. I mean, it's 1/10 millionth of the pole to the equator, so it's 10 million divided by 90. Well, you're going to have a fucking awkward number coming out of that, aren't you? It's not going to be that straightforward. And it's 111,000 111.111, and so forth. So it's an awkward number to divide up a degree.
Yeah.
But if you do that, if you do divide the say 360,000, which is the degree, and if you divide it by that, you're going to end up with a Belgic foot. So it was known in antiquity, but it was 3 Belgic feet was a metre.
Right, okay.
And you get other feet that come close to it. In fact, it does overlap with a Sumerian foot at some point. But you know it's really a Belgic foot because of the context in which it's found, which is a geographic distance. So, we know from antiquity that there's 75 Roman miles to a degree. And you can take the Roman foot of 0.96 foot. And we know from Nero Claudius Drusus, the governor of Gaul, the Roman governor, he accepted as the Gallic, the Belgic measures, because the measures were kept in Tonga, which is now Belgium, and that was their capital. And all their measures were kept there, and he accepted as for trade with Gaul, the Belgic foot, and the Belgic foot was 9 to 8 of the Roman feet. So if you got a Roman foot of 0.96 foot, which is proven, then the Gaulish foot must be 1.08 and compared with 0.96. So this is your basis. This is 3.27, And then as the degrees lengthen, of course, it goes up into values of the longer measures of the Belgic feet, which is like, very close to Sumerian. But, so without a shadow of a doubt, the metre was known in antiquity, but it wasn't called a metre or anything like it. It didn't behave like a metre. The metres are purely imaginary and ill-fitted, ill-suited to metrology. Because it based on the rules that all the other measurements relate to, but it was known in antiquity in a much more sensible fashion. But it wouldn't be used, it wouldn't be the prime measure or choice of geographers, because it's too awkward,
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So, who in your view among present-day metrologists is doing admirable work? Are mainstream academic archaeologists and historians contributing much? And what still needs doing, in your opinion?
Well, they need educating. No, there's nobody doing it really. There's plenty of good people out there.
Yeah.
But they've all got their own baggage, And
I think there's a lot of good amateurs out there, isn't there?
Well, there's a lot of very naughty amateurs too.
Yeah, fair point. Okay. What is your take on the influence of the internet since Opus 2, All Done with Mirrors, appeared?
Oh, it's improved no end, the internet. Yeah, it's become a valuable source of information.
Yeah.
And there's loads of rubbish out there, but you've got your own intellect to decide what's rubbish and what isn't.
Yeah.
But, of course, that leaves it open to being selective. You kind of select things that support your own theories, aren't you?
Of course, yeah.
Dismiss the rest.
Everyone's got their own biases, yeah.
But you can discern what's right and what's wrong.
Cool.
First, you have to know what's right. To know what's right, you've got to study the job.
Yes. Okay. Ancient metrology is barely touched on in schools these days, John. What do you think of the teaching of history to our children at the moment? Do you have any?
Well, they've given it up, haven't they?
Pretty much, I would say,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, a lot of what I'm doing at the moment on YouTube is we're delving into ancient history, ancient British history, in the so-called Dark Ages, and trying to shine new light on that.
Yeah.
But
Well, John Neal was just to say that, he decried the fact that people sort of treat the Romans as being the beginning.
yeah,
You know, but he was into the old British kings. You know.
yeah, me too. But if the Romans didn't write about it, then it kind of existed, you know. But we don't go over to China and say to the Chinese, well, the Romans and Greeks didn't write about you, so you've got no history.
That's right. Yeah. All we know about the tribes of Europe were what's left to us in Caesar's Gallic Wars.
Yeah.
And of course, he wasn't being nice about them, was he? He wasn't willing to say the fact that he's committed genocide on a highly intelligent people who thought in different ways. You know? I mean, the reason they didn't fucking destroy the legions is because they couldn't believe how the barbarity of the legions, you know.
Yeah.
How they just wanted to kill and accumulate the wealth of those they killed.
Yeah.
Because warfare to the Celts was a different animal altogether. You know, it was a competition. It was like the best thing that's come down to us is the North American Indian sort of code of ethics, chivalry. You know, where it was nobler to be able to steal a guy's horses and touch him in a battle without harming him, because we were acoustic, and that was the Celtic way. You know?
Yeah.
It was nobler to outwit your enemy than to kill him, you know. And yet the Romans came in all suited up with armour and just destroyed everything in their way, and it was alien to the Celtic way of thought. And you always find this with conquerors. They redefined the rules of war. Shaka Zulu was in point of fact, he was in South Africa. He rewrote the rules of warfare. He equipped his warriors with assegais. Previous to that, they'd all come together and thrown their spears at each other, and picked up the spears that were thrown and threw them back, you know. But Shaka invented the assegai, and he got them to march forward into the enemy, just like the Romans, you know, and stabbed the enemy to death. And of course, they were all freaked out at this because they was not in the rules of warfare. And the Romans did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
They changed the rules.
As did Alexander.
Alexander the Great, yeah.
Well, I think Alexander was a bit special. Yeah. He didn't exactly change the rules of warfare. I mean, he inherited the hoplite movement and perfected it, you know, through his own cunning and courage. And he wasn't reintroducing anything. He didn't change any rules. He was just very much more determined.
He sacked Thebes, and that was sort of like not done in those days.
Well, he did indeed, yes, he
reduced
did.
it to the ground. You know, and he brought to bear a different viewpoint in Greece.
Yes, I suppose he did, but he didn't. Yes, that was more a moral thing. It wasn't a development of a new method.
We still had hoplites, phalanx,
Okay, well, we're starting to get a bit busier in the pub now. It's lunchtime, so just one last question for you, John, and thank you so much for doing this. I've really enjoyed listening to your answers. Any thoughts on Atlantis?
Well, yes, I mean, John Michel was my best mate, and so I first came into the whole thing. It was he'd just written View Over Atlantis when I first met him, and
So about 1970, 71 that would be, wouldn't it? Early 70s.
Actually, I met him in '67.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
that was 3 years before, I think, A View Over Atlantis. Yeah.
Of course, he was already there. He'd just written Flying Saucer Vision when I first met him. And View Over Atlantis was in the pipeline, so we spoke about it regularly.
Wow.
And nothing could have prepared me for it. It was a massive impact.
I can imagine, yeah, at the time, definitely.
Yes, my opinions coincide with John Michel's about it, and it's a very educated opinion about his. I was very educated. Atlantis was more of a culture than it was militaristic. It's just like describing America now. You know, it was militaristic. It was very dependent on trade and wealth and money,
do you have any opinion on its location at all?
No, I don't have an opinion on it. No.
Okay.
No, we haven't discussed this. It was a world-covering culture. I mean, the Egyptians still spoke about it, and
do you think that ancient Egypt was a remnant of Atlantis?
it was quite separate. But I mean, the whole world was a united world, much more so than it is now. You know.
Right.
I mean, at some remote point in antiquity, you know, there was advanced sort of navigation, you know, that went on everywhere. I mean, 50,000 years ago, for example, or when people reached Australia and the East Indies and all that, I mean, they had to sail quite a long way to get to those places, you know. So they were highly advanced seafarers, which would require very advanced sort of mathematics in order to attempt these journeys. You know? So Atlantis, like I say, was more of a worldwide culture. In fact, you can see remnants of it because of Plato's description of it. You can see remnants all over the place, you know. But it might have been the remnants left by their influence, you know, wherever they're.
Right.
Whatever the kernel or the central point of their civilization might have been is up for grabs. But their influence is discernible all over the world, you know.
Yeah.
So it's their cultural influence. It's more of a culture than an actual point. You know?
Right. Okay. Great answer. Okay, John, I'm going to finish it there. Thank you so much for doing this. I've really enjoyed it. This will be going up on YouTube in a few days' time, so fantastic stuff. Thank you so much. Cheers. Cheers, John.